covered in graffiti, windows busted out, even illegal dumping. Coming up, I'll tell you about the complaints this unfinished subdivision is generating and what the city is doing about it.
Texas and Ohio State meet for a chance to advance to the national championship. Highlights of the game coming up.
And it was chilly today, especially with those gusty winds, but it gets even colder tonight. How low we go. I've got those numbers in your first warning forecast.
Well, unfinished homes with broken windows and tattered roofs. That's the situation in a South Austin neighborhood. Thanks so much for joining us tonight at 10 o'clock. I'm Daniel Marin.
And I'm Jennifer Sanders. This property generating more than a dozen complaints to the city's development department. KXAN Sarah Alshay shows us just how bad it's gotten and what the city is doing about it.
Homes covered in graffiti, tall weeds growing in the driveway. This is the Southstone subdivision on West Ditmar Road in South Austin, a property currently under construction according to the subdivision's website. This home and more than 200 others are supposed to eventually be luxury homes with a clubhouse, resort-style pool, and playground. Victor Uvalle III lives nearby with a direct view.
If we've seen people in those windows at night, you'll see just movement, just movement.
He says construction began years ago.
They started real fast. It looked like they had a lot of contractors out there trying to do a lot of different things.
Then all of a sudden,
it was just a dead stop. It was a dead stop. We didn't have nobody working, no contractors coming by. And then I would say maybe a few months after they stopped, we started seeing some vandalism, like some windows broken.
He worries the vandalism there moved to his neighborhood.
We've had a couple break-ins right here with my parents' vehicles as well, just being vandalized and stuff.
This situation prompted the City of Austin's Development Services Department to get involved. The department has received a total of 16 complaints about the subdivision, ranging from illegal dumping, tall weeds, and unsafe structures. When asked what's being done, the department told us, quote, code inspectors are addressing complaints as they come in, and we have been working with the property owner to bring the property into compliance. Our actions include regular visits to the property, cleanups, and placing surveillance cameras to monitor illegal dumping. For Uvalle and his family, this ultimately comes down to an issue of safety, one they want resolved soon.
She's riding her bike up the street. I don't want her to think like, oh, there's those abandoned houses that, I can't ride on, right on that street.
Sarah Alshay, KXAN News.
And KXAN reached out to the developer multiple times this week. We'll update this story if we hear back. An abandoned building in another part of Austin caused some concerns as well. Neighbors say it attracted crime, including a fire inside the building. The structure is across the street from McCallum High School and next to a daycare. After hearing concerns from residents, the City of Austin approved the demolition of the abandoned building.
Well, there were packed houses across the city tonight as UT football fans watched the Cotton Bowl Classic as the Longhorns take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Here's what it looked like at Victory Lap. That's a sports bar in West Campus. It is not looking good for the Longhorns right now. They are down 28-14 with only 2 minutes left in the game. Well, temperatures are in the 30s in Arlington tonight, but the weather is perfect inside of AT&T Stadium. Many fans drove for days through terrible weather conditions to get there before tailgating in RVs around the stadium. There is no doubt about the allegiances out there, with team pride on full display for everyone to see.
So we've been here for how many days now?
3 days.
3 days.
3 days here in this parking lot.
And
make sure.
like I say, we're enjoying it, and this is our kind of life. Just take our time and enjoy our retirement following the UT.
Tailgaters like this, they have kind of a bond where even though they're the opposing team, we don't want to be the bad neighbors. So I knocked on their door and literally asked to borrow a cup of sugar just to break the ice.
And we'll have more from the game coming up a little later in sports. That's right, horns up.
I know.
That gal committed, right? Like, I don't know if she had it at the entire time.
She needs your earrings. The earrings you have on now. We can't get a close-up.
It's a little sad right now watching the game in the Weather Center. But you know what? You still lots to be proud of. Lots to be proud
Great
of.
season.
And Still
and it's not over yet. It's not over.
Yeah, there's
2 minutes. 2 minutes left.
We've seen stranger things. There's no doubt about it. Let me show you what's going on with your weather tonight. As far as our live look outside, I'm taking you to Marble Falls, River City Grill, Howland Furniture Camera. Looks pretty good. We do anticipate very cold temperatures tonight. So if we do have any leftover, puddles or wet spots, those are likely to freeze. But the good news is we had some of that dry air. It got obviously very gusty with those winds, but the dry air helped kind of dry us out. So I'm really not too worried about icing conditions overnight here locally. I do expect some big problems up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, though. Current temperatures in those 20s and 30s. It's going to get cold tonight, y'all. Those winds are already light. Light winds, dry air, clear skies. Perfect recipe for our temperatures to crater overnight. And they will, with overnight temperatures in the 20s across all of Central Texas, but a nice steady rebound heading into tomorrow afternoon. Coming up in your first warning forecast, I'm going to show you how low you go in your neighborhood with these temperatures, because Austin gets real cold, but it gets really cold in the hill country as we get into tomorrow morning. Your weekend forecast looks pretty good, though, and it will be another cool work week. Looking forward, temperatures not quite up to where they should be, even by January standards. So I've got a lot to discuss coming up in your first warning forecast.
All right, Kristen, thank you so much. We want to give you a live look now over the greater Los Angeles area. We've been monitoring this within the last hour, so it's certainly grown. A new fire popping up, and that's triggering more evacuations. You can see that chopper in the air right now, and we know that crews are working around the clock to get those fires contained. At least 11 people have died in Southern California because of the wildfires. Those dry conditions and powerful winds are fueling at least 6 blazes, and containing them is still a challenge. The largest one, the Palisades fire, is 8% contained. The Eaton fire in the Pasadena area is 3% contained. And there's also some concerns about enough water. California's governor wants an investigation into the loss of water pressure to local fire hydrants.
And drones are actually hurting firefighting efforts out there. The FBI is investigating after a drone hit an aircraft used to drop water. Officials say the civilian drone was flying over the Palisades fire at the time of the incident. As for the Eaton fire, the National Guard was in the Altadena neighborhood today checking driver licenses as residents tried to return home. This was to help prevent any looting in the neighborhoods. There have been more than a dozen arrests since yesterday. And Los Angeles County officials say FEMA has set up a website for people to fill out a paperwork, a form, but officials say people are getting their applications denied.
It is completely mind-boggling to me that people who have lost everything are filling out a form as told and then are getting an immediate denial.
International help is coming to put the fires out. California's governor confirmed today that Mexico is sending firefighters. No word yet, though, on the exact number.
Going in depth, according to a wildfire risk report from property analytics group CoreLogic, Texas ranks 3rd nationally for homes at moderate or greater risk from fires. That's behind California and Colorado. The Austin Metro ranked as the 5th highest metro in the country whose homes are at heightened risk for wildfire damage, with more than 94,000 homes having a moderate or greater wildfire risk.
Well, now to the future of the popular video app TikTok, and analysts expect the Supreme Court will make a preliminary decision within the coming days. Today, the court heard oral arguments on the law that could effectively ban TikTok in the U.S. The federal law forces TikTok to cut ties with its China-based parent company ByteDance. TikTok and its creators hope the Supreme Court will keep the app as it is. They argue that leaders in Washington unfairly singled out TikTok's data collection practices and, in turn, violated users' First Amendment rights.
Whether it's the BBC or NPR, people can choose to express themselves on whatever platform they wish.
The justices did not appear sympathetic to TikTok's freedom of speech arguments, and at one point, Justice Samuel Alito asked why TikTok users can't just use a different app.
Just wondering whether this is like somebody's attachment to an old article of clothing. I mean, I really love this old shirt, but I could go out and buy something exactly like that.
TikTok asked the court to delay the ban until President-elect Trump takes office later this month. Trump campaigned to save the app after previously supporting the ban. The law kicks in on January 19th.
The judge in President-elect Donald Trump's hush money case sentenced Mr. Trump to an unconditional discharge, meaning he is now a convicted felon but will face no further penalties. Today, Mr. Trump appeared on a video conference call for his sentencing, months after his conviction on 34 felony counts on falsifying business records to hide an alleged affair and cover up from voters.
This court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of a judgment of conviction without encroaching upon the highest office in the land is an unconditional discharge.
An unconditional discharge means no jail time, no fines, while confirming he is guilty and a convicted felon.
It's been a political witch hunt. It was done to damage my reputation so that I'd lose the election, and obviously that didn't work. The fact is that I'm totally innocent. I did nothing wrong.
On social media, the president-elect wrote that the case deserves to be dismissed and promised to appeal. President Biden will deliver a farewell address to the country from the Oval Office next Wednesday. The announcement from the White House did not give any further details on what the president would discuss. The speech comes less than a week before President-elect Trump's inauguration.
We are just 4 days away from the start of the next legislative session in Austin. But before that, we're going to get a look at how big the state's budget will be. On Monday, the Texas Comptroller's Office will release its revenue estimate. The comptroller says the state will have another surplus. That money will likely be used to set up a school choice program. That's a top priority for the governor. But there are still questions about how much it could cost. Comptroller Glenn Hagar suggests the state start small with education savings accounts only for disadvantaged students and those with disabilities at first.
If you're making it universal, but you're also taking one step at a time, so you know actually what are the parameters and how you balance the entire education system in the state of Texas.
And Hagar also said this year the state will have its largest rainy day fund in history, $24 billion.
A new urban trail more than a decade in the making will soon open to Austinites. The Bergstrom Spur Trail was first identified as a good place to build one back in 2014, and just this month they started construction.
Our Nabil Ramadna shows us why it will benefit people living nearby and why it took so long to get started.
Covered in overgrown weeds and vines, this once forgotten railroad in South Austin will see traffic picking up once again, now as the Bergstrom Spur Urban Trail.
This was identified as a priority corridor all the way back in 2014.
Now, once completed, this 6.5-mile long urban trail along these abandoned railroad tracks will give neighborhoods across South Austin the opportunity to connect with businesses and other neighborhoods nearby.
Even though it's taken, all these years to get to this point, I never lost hope in the project.
Brian Sullivan grew up near the trail. He's looking forward to using it once it's completed.
There's a whole lot going on in South Austin, and the idea and the prospect of being able to get to all those various things, I think, is a net win for everybody.
South Congress, South First area, we're seeing apartment buildings and restaurants and mixed uses come into an area.
John Eastman with the city says the 12-foot wide concrete trail will connect Vincent Drive in South Austin to East Riverside Drive and US 183, then end at the airport.
We're really excited about the trail as both a transportation facility that enables people to walk and bike and roll safely, but also provides them an experience where they can just go out and be on the trail.
A trail Sullivan says will help get people around the city, but also get them outside for a little exercise as well.
And hopefully it's going to make our city a healthier city too.
Nabil Ramadna, KXAN News.
The entire project is estimated to be completed by 2027 with a total cost of about $25 million. Now, Eastman said they are still working to acquire funding to complete the eastern portion of the project. To learn more about it, you can visit our website at KXAN.com.
And this isn't the only change that could make it more walkable. The city of Austin will soon release the next steps for a proposed revamp of Congress Avenue, which includes the potential of a pedestrian-centric plaza from 7th Street up to 11th Street. Officials say the idea is to fully lean into Congress Avenue being the main street of Texas, since it leads to the Texas state capitol. The hope is that it will also boost economic revenue and capitalize on visitors and legislative staff coming and going in the area.
Hi, I know.
Hey,
welcome.
Kristen
I know.
Curry, hello.
What a
She's been working for 24 hours. 24 hours.
Just a weird staffing day, but I'm glad I get to spend my Friday night with you.
Good to see
I know.
Yeah, and I've got good news.
Some good news, okay.
Yes, I think a lot of people are thinking, okay, we did the winter weather thing, right? When will we get the sunshine back? Well, I've got real good news for you. I think you're going to like the weekend. Let's get into it, y'all. Winter radar not showing anything exciting. The storm system that moved through yesterday and brought all that significant rainfall, well, it's now giving the eastern side of the nation some messy weather, from significant snowfall up to the north to some wintry mix there in the Carolinas. Rain to the south, but picked up several inches of snow in Atlanta and Nashville today. We got what we needed, though, out of that. Had some rainfall totals. Oh, my map got messed up there. The rainfall totals anywhere from about 1/2 inch to 1 3/4 inches. We love to see it, right? We got the good stuff, whereas most of the yucky weather went to the north. And I will tell you, if you've got friends and family who did make that drive up to Arlington for the game that just finished, I'm already starting to see some reports that those flyovers, those elevated highways in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are getting real icy and real messy. So maybe text a friend, text some of your family members and say, be very, very careful on your way home from that game. Locally, our roads are fine, especially with those dry winds that we had blowing 25 to 30 miles per hour today. That really helped us out. Indeed, domain camera showing dry conditions, temperatures in those 30s. Even a little bit of a wind, though, hurts. Wind chill down to freezing here in Austin. Actual air temperatures in the 20s tonight into tomorrow morning. Clear skies, dry conditions, light winds. I mean, it's the perfect recipe for these temperatures to get real cold real fast. By tomorrow around sunrise, widespread 20s. So hard freeze territory. Make sure before you go to sleep tonight that you have that faucet with a little bit of a slow, steady drip there, especially with those sinks and tubs that, again, share a wall with the outside. Those are typically the most vulnerable on a night like tonight. Tomorrow looks pretty good, despite the fact that it will be very cold. 50s and sunshine, especially coming off the week we had. Those 50s are going to feel glorious. And we got 50s all over the map as we get into tomorrow afternoon. Not quite where we should be. 62 is average. But, hey, we'll take those 50s over those lower 40s we had today. As far as the sky conditions go moving forward, we've got mostly sunny skies on Sunday, but a cold front comes through and it's going to push that moisture away from us from the Gulf. So Monday into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, all trending mainly cloudy, but no meaningful rain chance out of that yet. I say yet because some of our longer term models are showing what are the normal conditions looking beyond the 7 days. So week 3 of January and colder than normal weather. There's a lot of scuttlebutt online about, another polar Arctic outbreak. Don't believe it yet. Just know that we've got eyes on it. Yes, it is a possibility that our temperatures trend down after next week. But let's not bite on any snow maps just yet. As we learned with this last storm, things can change up until the last minute. Sunshine for tomorrow and Sunday. Mainly cloudy skies for most of next week. High temperatures, 50s and 60s for as far as we can see.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
I'm Nabil Rahman, helping out our sports department tonight. Noah and Roger up in Arlington for the Cotton Bowl. That's where we find the Texas Longhorns taking on Ohio State. Winner of this one heading to the national championship at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Notre Dame potentially playing one of the two teams, but you have to win to move on. Easier said than done with competition getting tougher for Texas. And let's get right into the highlights. About 7 minutes into the start of the game, that's when Ohio State would strike first. Quinshon Judkins getting in there, putting Ohio State up 7. Quinn Ewers finding Jaden Blue in the corner here, tying things up. Texas playing good defense, just need to get their offense rolling. But right going into the half, well, that's when Ohio State throws a little screen pass, and he's going to take that about 70 yards, scoring the touchdown, taking some of the energy away from Texas. But you know what? Texas is not done fighting yet. Ewers again, almost looks like the same play. Ewers to Jaden Blue again to the corner. They're going to tie things up 14-14. Heading into the fourth, though, we're going to see
Quinshawn Judkins again scoring, and that's when Ohio State goes up 21-0, and disaster here as Ewers is going to try to throw a pass. It's going to be taken over there, and that's when Ohio State is going to run it all the way back and put things away, 28-14. Texas so close to scoring there, turning things around, but then you're going to see one more chance here, and of course, the chance there picked off. Unfortunately, Ohio State goes down. They're going to win this. They're going to move on. They're going to take on Notre Dame coming up in the national championship. Moving on to women's sports, now over to women's basketball, a game that took place last night, but too good not to show you. Number 5 ranked UT taking on Alabama, and I can tell you, UT shooting lights out. 9 for 10 on the floor. Aaliyah Moore adding that 23-5 there. Texas looking really good. Fast forward to the end of the second quarter. Rory Harmon trying to add a bucket before the half, and no problem here as she drives and hits the fadeaway jumper. Texas up big, making it 41-16. As they say, all gas, no brakes. And Texas, well, they're keeping their foot on the accelerator in this one. You can't leave one of the best three-point shooters open. We'll take a look at that. Jordan Lee knocking it down. Texas up 70-25. No, that's not a mistake. They did a lot of damage in this one, and I can tell you they're going to go on to win this 84-40. Next up, number 2, South Carolina in Columbia. That should be a good one. Now moving over to men's basketball, UT taking on UT, the fake UT. That's Tennessee. These are some highlights from the Auburn game. That's when Texas took on number 2 Auburn. But I can tell you, Tennessee, number 1 in the nation. Texas welcoming them into Moody Center tomorrow at 5 p.m. Texas kind of up and down, and I can tell you, starting the SEC play 0-2, but if they get a win against Tennessee, big time win. All right, we'll have more on KXAN.com if you want to check out all the sports.